So disaster struck. Okay, now you can see the meaning of disaster struck. Disaster, what is the meaning of disaster? It means bad incident. Okay, an incident happened, bad incident happened. The class and the teacher arrived to find the schoolhouse engulfed in flames. So when the classmates, okay, when the class, when the students and the teacher, they arrived, like when they arrived, they saw that the schoolhouse, okay, the school was engulfed in flames. Means it was completely covered. Engulfed means full, covered, okay, fully covered in flames, okay, in fire. Terrified on realizing that Glenn was inside, they rushed in and managed to drag the unconscious boy out of the flaming room, more dead than alive. So when they realized, okay, when the teacher and the students realized that Glenn was inside the room, they rushed, okay, they managed to rush inside the room, and they were able to drag means pull, okay, they were able to pull Glenn, and that time Glenn was already unconscious. Okay, he was unconscious, and when the people pulled him out of the flaming room, that is the fire. Okay, so, the room filled with fire. Glenn, he was more dead. Okay, than alive. He was almost half dead. He had major burns over the lower half of his body, and was taken to a hospital nearby. So when they pulled Glenn out of the room, that time Glenn was already unconscious, half dead, and his lower half body, okay, half of his body down part, from there everything was burned. Okay, everything got burned, and he was taken to a hospital nearby. From his bed, the dreadfully burned, semi-conscious Glenn faintly heard the doctor talking to his mother. The doctor told his mother that her son would surely die, which for the best, really, for the terrible fire had devastated the lower half of his body. So here, so he was taken to the hospital. So from his bed, okay, like now, like Glenn, he is laying down on the hospital bed, and from his bed, the dreadfully burned means extremely burned. Okay, extremely burned, semi-conscious means like he is conscious but as well as half conscious. Okay, not fully but semi-conscious. Glenn, what he heard the doctor. Okay, the doctor talking to his mother. The doctor was telling something to his mother. The doctor told his mother that his son would surely die. Okay, Glenn would surely die, which was for the best. And even the doctor was saying it's better that he dies instead of living. Okay, it's sure that he's gonna die, and it's better. It's good for him, because the terrible fire had devastated the lower half of his body. Because what was the reason that he would surely die? Because the fire has already devastated, means destroyed. Okay, the fire has already destroyed the lower half of his body. Now he would be abnormal, he would be crippled. Okay, but the brave boy held on to his life. He didn't want to die. Glenn made up his mind that he would survive. And somehow, to the amazement of the physician, he did survive. But when Glenn heard the doctor talking to his mother, that time the boy, okay, he held on to his life. He decided that in his mind, he didn't know, I would live, I would not die because of this. Okay, and he did not want to die. Glenn, even though he was fully burned, half body was fully burned, but he made up his mind that he would survive, he would live. Okay, and somehow, to the amazement of the physician, amazement means great surprise, to the surprise of the doctors. Okay, because for the doctor, they have already given up hope. Okay, they lose hope that Glenn would survive, but to the surprise of the doctors, Glenn survived. He was able to live. He could survive that very danger part of his life. Yet, when the mortal danger was past, he again heard the doctor and his mother speaking quietly. Now here, but again, even though Glenn survived, but when the mortal danger means the deadly situation of being, or the mortal danger means the situation where the doctor were not sure whether Glenn would live or he would die. Okay, that is what situation was, the mortal danger. So when Glenn was out of the danger, he again heard the doctor and her mother, okay, and his mother speaking. Okay, the mother was told that since the fire had destroyed so much flesh in the lower part of his body, it was almost be better if he had died. Again, see, the doctor, what he's the doctor again. Glenn heard that the doctor telling her mother, okay, that your son's lower part of the body is completely burned. Okay, nothing is there. So it would be better, instead of living life like this, instead of living life, okay, this way, it is better that he dies. Okay, since now the doctor was also feeling poor on, like he was feeling pity for Glenn. Okay, in that situation, a boy to live his whole life in that very situation where all his half of his body is burned, that even the doctor said it is better that he dies, since he was doomed to be a cripple throughout his life. And the reason was because even though he lives, he is unfortunate. Okay, like Glenn, he is unfortunate to become a cripple. Cripple means abnormal. Okay, cripple means unable to move. Okay, he would be unable to move for the whole of his life, for the rest of his life. He would be crippled. Cripple means, what is the meaning of cripple? Like his body would be not responding. Okay, his body would not be active. He cannot move. Okay, so throughout his life he cannot move, and with no use at all of his lower limbs. So he cannot make use of his lower limbs, means the lower leg. Okay, but his mother refused to let the doctors amputate. But what happened? His mother, Glenn's mother, she did not agree. Okay, maybe the doctor was suggesting like the doctor were suggesting his mother to cut off his limb. Okay, that is his half part of his body to be operated. Okay, to be operated, to be cut. Amputate means to cut. Okay, but his mother refused to allow the doctor to cut his leg. Now we would see the rest of the lesson in the next class.